Hello, this is Valerie Aiello, and you're listening to Idea Diary. Thanks for coming back to my office and hanging out. All right, so today I wanted to talk about band merch, specifically movies. Movies are band merch. I know you could do like the regular old documentary or some weird documentary or like a video compilation thing or a live show movie. But what I wanted to talk about and maybe inspire some creative spark of magic is scripted films for bands. Now, you could do like the biopic thing if your life is that interesting. I don't think you have to be like born of a famous person and like a legacy movie. And I don't think it has to be like a rags to riches, like, oh, I was down in the dumps and now I'm a rock star. I think it could just be a scripted movie about your life from here to there. Doesn't have to be like this big, huge transformational thing. It could be anything. It could be simple. You could do a biopic without being super famous. I don't feel like that's insane or weird. I think it could be kind of funny or just endearing and sweet. But what I kind of wanted to focus on today was the unscripted movie about bands, with bands acting, with maybe a director or something, somehow pulling a movie together, maybe with the help of people that actually know how to make movies. Maybe not. Maybe you don't need anything. But I'm talking about scripted films about bands in an indie way. You could use your iPhone, you could use Zoom, you could do a million things, but making something funny or dramatic or just entertaining, whatever it is that you're making, I just feel like it could be a thing. And there's so many ways to self-publish now. You could use Amazon where you're making a movie and you're publishing it with them, and you could have it available for rent, available to buy, available for free streaming for people that have Prime. There's Vimeo. They have a lot of ways that you could have independent movies and rent them out. Or you can just publish it on YouTube for free for the world to see and just have everyone enjoy it. And I feel like it's just a super awesome, fun marketing tool and just artistic and amazing. And I don't want you to feel like it's out of reach. If you have a band and it's something you want to do, make a movie. And you don't even have to be a good actor. I mean, I don't know if you remember the movie from Justin to Kelly when the American Idol people won the first American Idol, I think. And they just came out with a movie. I don't think the Hollywood heads were like, these people are great actors. We must immediately throw them into a motion picture film. I think that movie might actually have gone to theaters. It wasn't just like a straight to VHS type of thing. But anyway, you can do it in a silly, fun way. I don't think movies always have to be about great acting. It can just be fun. And maybe your acting chops aren't like the point. The point is the entire picture, and if it's fun. And you don't have to necessarily make it just about your band. You could do a band compilation, like get bands in your city and write something, make it, and it's kind of like it's kind of like a comp, like a music comp where you put a bunch of bands on it and you pass it around so people can discover the different bands in your area or the different bands in a specific genre. There's this band called Roadie, which was starring Meatloaf. And I don't know when the movie was released. I think it's like an early 80s movie. But it had Meatloaf, it had Blondie, it had Alice Cooper, it had Ray Benson from Asleep at the Wheel, it had Hank Williams Jr., it had Roy Orbison. It just had all these different rock stars and probably a bunch of people in bands that are in bands you've never heard of necessarily. And it was just silly and fun and weird. And obviously, the Beatles made movies. There's a ton of bands that made movies. Purple Rain. It was the most epic thing probably ever made. I don't even know what to say about Prince. I mean, Prince was he had a vision and he made it, and it was always perfect. And there were also bands that had TV shows, like the Partridge Family. I believe they were a band first, and then they made a show. I'm not sure. I mean, that definitely happens to where, like the Monkees, for example, the people in Hollywood would make a show, audition all the band members, try to make a band of people that could actually play instruments, and then the band ends up kind of becoming a hit, and then they want to write their own songs. I don't really know off the top of my head which Monkee songs were kind of written for them and which Monkee songs they actually wrote, but I know they did try once they became famous to actually record their own music. I just can't remember at the top of my head right now which songs those were. But the Monkees were awesome. Basically, when you're thinking of your merch, your band merch, think about adding a movie, a scripted film to that merch line. And merch can be a lot of different things. I know people are still printing CDs. I'm not really sure why exactly. I'm not against the CD. I think it's a fun thing to have, but I'm really for just going on and saving your money and just going ahead and printing a vinyl. But I'm also a fan of, if you're in a band and you're trying to make money, like, let's just take music off the table. Like, the music's free. You want people to love it. You want people to enjoy it. You want people to have it. I'm not necessarily saying to print a bunch of vinyls and give them away for free, but make the music free to listen to till the end of time. I always think about the 80s and the 90s and kind of growing up. And there were tons of bands that I knew almost every one of their songs, and I never bought a CD because I would just hear the music on MTV or the music on the radio or the music going to parties, or we would make burn cassettes, or we would make burn CDs, and we would make our friends mixtapes. And buying the music was not necessarily the most important factor in me loving a band. And I think that if you could think of the music being free and then your merch being how you make money, and make that merch to be in different tiers. So maybe there's the person that likes your band that just listens to the free music, the person that likes your band that will spend $10, the person that likes your band that'll spend $50, and the person that likes your band that'll spend $1,000. Maybe not $1,000 all at one time, but maybe they buy a $100 thing here and there as you're making stuff. I think merch can get really creative, and I feel like there's lots of ways to make merch that maybe you don't need money for, that maybe don't let money be the factor in not releasing or having ideas. The money problem will come later, because there's a lot of ways maybe you can combine forces with people. I know when you're already like a famous band or a band that's well known, that you could probably make merch with makeup lines or tennis shoe companies. I know maybe those offers kind of come to you where you're not investing the money. You're just kind of giving your brand influence to make something, and the other partner, like whoever you're partnering up with, is funding the actual piece of merch. And if it sells, you kind of just collect a check. But you can do that in a way when you're not famous. I don't know what that is, but I'm pretty sure there's a way. I know there's a lot of brands like Lone Star Beer who will definitely combo up with artists, and they have a whole marketing team working on how do we connect our brand with bands. And it doesn't have to be beer. I'm sure there's a lot of things that a lot of companies and brands that have money to spend on stuff and to try new things, that they want to partner up with bands. So the main thing I just wanted to talk about today, and maybe this isn't just for bands, maybe scripted films and doing things can be a merch item for all kinds of different businesses. Maybe your jewelry line, or your cupcake shop, or your Etsy store. Maybe you make a movie and it's ridiculous and it's fun, and you put it up for free on YouTube, and the whole thing is about how you sell handmade teddy bears on your Etsy store, and then the movie becomes a hit, and then your Etsy store becomes a hit. I think taking the scripted film, maybe teaming up with somebody that knows what they're doing and can help you with their idea, or just screw that, just do it yourself with your iPhone and make a 2-hour movie. That is the best that you can do, and see if it's a hit. I feel like this is potentially a really good idea. I know there's a new movie coming out called The Nowhere Inn with St. Vincent and Carrie Brownstein, and I don't know what it's going to be, but if you watch the trailer, it's like started as a documentary, which turned into something else, and maybe the whole thing was made to be a scripted film, and then they just filmed it in a certain way to follow that storyline of this documentary went off the tracks, and now we have this weird movie that's like really fun. I mean, when you watch the trailer, the camera work is like so beautiful that I'm like, holy crap. Like, I want to see this movie, even if it's the worst movie I've ever seen. Like, I really want to see this movie in the big screen at Alamo Drafthouse, if they're still actually playing movies whenever this movie's released. But if I have to watch it on my tiny laptop, I'll do that also. Anyway, I just feel like this movie is going to be another great example of how scripted film can take two bands, combine together, and be a huge push to share their art. Because I don't think Sleater-Kinney and St. Vincent care about selling more records at this point. I think maybe they're happy that people actually like their bands, and they're just like, let's make more. Let's make more art. Let's keep it going and keep having fun. So I think that's kind of what we all want to do, is kind of be in that position to where we're just 100% of our day doing whatever I want, and hopefully working and combining forces with like super fun, interesting people doing the same thing. And yeah, that's the show for the day. Oh, I forgot. This show was brought to you by the Song of the Day. The Song of the Day was from a band called The Sea and the Cake. And this band's from Chicago. I just wanted to share this band with you as a sort of like entire album genre thing. If you need something to listen to that maybe you haven't heard a million times, that's relaxing, something to listen to while you work, The Sea and the Cake is kind of that relaxing, crunchy, indie thing that you could put on that the whole office will like. So anyways, I'd say go to YouTube, put The Sea and the Cake full album, and pick an album and relax and work. All right, thanks for coming, and hopefully I will see you tomorrow. Bye.